careful this Halloween. I found some trash in my Reese's.
By the looks of my watch, it's officially grave time. Happy belated Halloween, everybody. I originally had planned to have this video out in time for Halloween, and unfortunately ran into technical difficulties as always. Nothing can ever be simple anymore. Everything's got to be difficult. Even uploading a simple video and editing it is never easy anymore. So this is now the new norm for me. Anywho, if you're like myself and you spend quite a bit of time on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now I guess it's called X, whatever. I'm not on there, I don't care. But anyway, you've probably been seeing a lot of memes lately, and we're definitely in a political season where the election is right around the corner, and so there's a lot of political rhetoric and memes and stuff like that. I'm trying to stay clear of that stuff and just focus on the things that are funny. And in the past 4 years, there's been some really goofy Halloween memes, and I'm sure some of you have seen them, and I'm going to showcase some of my favorites that I found. It will typically show a candy bar broken in half, and it will have an unusual object in the middle of it. And it will say something to the extent, hey parents, check your child's candy because I found a such and such in their candy bar or in their Halloween candy. Anyways, here's some examples. Well, that was definitely delightful. But besides the whole joking memes and everything, there's actually a dark side to Halloween, and that actually took place 50 years ago in 1974 with a man who unfortunately did something really bad, and he killed his son, and he poisoned him with candy. And this is the story. This is just abbreviating the story, and along the way I'll have newspaper clippings, and if you'd like to go ahead and stop and actually read the articles, you can. Just for time's sake, I don't want to be here all day. But I want to bring attention to why these memes exist. Yeah, they're funny, but a lot of people don't realize there's actually a darker meaning behind these memes. So the story goes, a man by the name of Ronald O'Bryan took his son and daughter out trick-or-treating with several of the kids from the neighborhood. Before bed, Ronald let them have one piece of Halloween candy. And I don't remember if he suggested to his son or his daughter to have a certain item, but they chose to have the very large pixie stick. And that's what his son decided to have. And so Ronald basically helped him open the pixie stick, and his son was having a hard time getting the candy out of the pixie stick, so he went ahead and helped his son, poured the pixie stick into a glass of water and stirred it up and made it into like a Kool-Aid. And so his son, Timothy O'Bryan, went ahead and drank that before bed. A short while after Timothy ingested the liquefied pixie stick, he had woken up with a extreme stomachache and was crying. His dad took him into the bathroom where Timothy was convulsing, vomiting, and gasping. and then suddenly he went limp. 90 minutes later, Timothy was dead. The son's candy was found to have contained poison, and the news of the poisoned candy brought fear to the parents all over the neighborhood and community. Something like this had never ever happened before, and you can imagine the sheer terror that would be on the thoughts of parents and even children. Eventually, Ronald was to blame for his son's death. Investigators found out that Ronald had recently taken out several life insurance policies on both of his children. His son was recently insured for $30,000. On November 4th, Ronald O'Bryan was arrested for the murder of his son. 2 months before Halloween, Ronald had asked a chemist what lethal dose of cyanide might be deadly enough to do harm to someone. And at the trial, it was also found that Ronald had money issues. And this is why he decided to take an insurance policy out as kids, and decided at the right time when he was going to do this terrible thing and poison them. And just to make a side note, there was a total of 5 pixie sticks that he had tampered with. So he gave 2 to his kids, he gave 2 to 2 other kids that were trick-or-treating, and 1 other kid that he saw from the church that he went to. And the idea was to basically cover his tracks, that if they all ingested it, that, you know, it would be off of him. But obviously he wasn't smart enough to know that investigators would basically do a background check and do some really good detective work and find out exactly what's really going on here. On June 3rd, 1975, Ronald O'Bryan was found guilty and sentenced to die by the electric chair. Now, he would go through a appeals process like everyone else who's on death row, and eventually they get rid of the electric chair. And so he is now going to die by lethal injection. And at one point, he was sentenced to die on the 8-year anniversary of his son Timothy's death. On Halloween, they were actually going to execute him, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. He got another appeal. But I have to give it to the great state of Texas. They execute people. Here in California, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we passed a law to speed up that process, but unfortunately, Governor Gavin Newsom does not want to execute people. Not even the East Area rapist, who is a despicable human being. There was talk that they might maybe allow him to be executed, but obviously he's just going to rot and die in jail. So anyway, we don't kill people here in California. That's unlawful, I guess. It's not good. But the great state of Texas still does. So don't commit a crime there and murder someone, because you'll be hung or shot or get an lethal ejection, basically. But yeah, so on March 31st, 1984, Ronald O'Bryan ended up dying by lethal injection. Over 200 people stood outside the prison wall and gathered eating pixie sticks. Some people threw candy at the gates and yelled, "Trick or treat." Ronald O'Bryan was known as the Candy Man, which is quite an interesting nickname to be given. But he was also known as the man who ruined Halloween. And in a lot of ways, that's really true, because there was a time before 1974 when you could come home from trick-or-treating and you go through your candy and you just eat it. And now your parents have to inspect it. The parents, the adults have to inspect their kids' candy, make sure it's not been tampered with and whatnot, all because of this jerk. The following photograph I grabbed from findagrave.com, and on the far right is Timothy O'Bryan dressed as an ape from Planet of the Apes. Now, I don't know which one is his sister Elizabeth, but this is basically the last photograph of Timothy before he passed on Halloween night. Speaking of Find a Grave page, I have found the Timothy Mark O'Bryan sponsored Find a Grave page. And Timothy is buried in Forest Park Lawndale Cemetery in Deer Park, Texas, located in Harris County. So if you ever find yourself in those neck of the woods, Harris County, Texas, please stop by, pay your respects to Timothy O'Bryan. This concludes this episode of Grave Time. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you to all my new subscribers, former subscribers. Thank you for being patient with me as I try to navigate through life in so many different facets, especially when it comes to modern day technology and trying to adapt to how new programs work and whatnot. And I'm trying my best. I honestly really am, and keep hitting roadblocks, but you just can't keep a good man down. So there you go. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also hit that notification bell so you can be in the loop of the next Grave Time adventure. Until next time, God bless you. Thank you so much for everything. Bye.